So I must start by saying I thought the band sounded incredible. Didn't you think the band sounded incredible?
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. So most people know you as a musician, but a lot of people don't know a lot about your background and what a rich lineage you come from. So can you share a little bit with everyone about your family history with music?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for the question. So the reason I call myself the native son, the reason others call me native son, is because I am a third generation New Orleans jazz musician. You don't see many of us around. You're not going to meet many like me. So once again, I'm a third generation. My paternal grandfather, or my paternal grandparents rather, had 11 grandchildren. You know, one of those good New Orleans Catholic families.
Catholic family,
you know.
That's right.
So of the 11 children, they had 5 boys, they had 6 girls. Four boys played. My dad, who's the baby, didn't play. Ali, right? So, but then all of my aunts, all of their children played as well. So all of my aunts' children, all of my uncles' children, cousins, and all of my uncles and my grandfather on my dad's side played. So, I mean, I'm talking about over 40 musicians. That's just on my dad's side. On my mother's side, my mother has everyone from classical musicians to folk and gospel musicians. And my first teacher was my maternal grandmother.
Wow.
And I learned sitting at the piano with her and sitting at the piano of the church with her and my sister. Just as a kid, just at her feet, watching everything she did.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, music was hard for me to escape, and it is so entrenched in my family on both sides.
That's a wonderful story. So give me your thoughts on why you think that this was an important movie to make, the story of Buddy Bolden.
Bolden's story is such an important story to tell because he was the first jazz musician. And the reason we give him the title of the first jazz musician is because he did what we call improvisation. He was the first to improvise. And so what that actually means is it means taking a melody, any melody, like a melody to something like Happy Birthday, for example, and he embellished the melody, he augmented the melody, he made the melody more dense, but he did it around the structures of music, the rules of music. So he did this while using pitch and harmony and rhythm and time. And these are all rules, but these are rules that Buddy Bolden just innately understood without having a formal education. And so this was such an important movie because up until this point, Buddy Bolden has just been a myth, a folklore, or something that was passed on orally from the generations. And this is the first time we have a tangible visual to actually put a name in a story to the myth.
So when you were growing up in New Orleans as a little boy, what did you know about Buddy Bolden?
Okay, that's a great question. I think the first time I heard the name Buddy Bolden, I must have been about 6 or 7 years old. And I remember this because we took a field trip. This was a strange field trip, but you do these kind of field trips in New Orleans.
That's right.
We did a field trip to the Charity Hospital Cemetery to see Buddy Bolden's grave. It was unmarked at the time. Yep. This had to be in like about 1990 or 91, and this was around the time when they were trying to raise money to get him a proper tombstone. And so then I heard the name, didn't know who he was, didn't register. Then about a year later, we went on another field trip, and this time we went to a field trip to his house, uptown on First Street. It was an old, abandoned, blighted, dilapidated home. They told me it was historic, and all of my elders are sitting here in awe about this house, and I just didn't get it. And then fast forward maybe about another year, I'm about 8 or 9 years old, and I'm a student of Alvin Baptiste's at the time, famed clarinetist, educator from New Orleans, and he walks into the classroom, and he looks at us, and I remember he passed out sheet music, and then he flipped the sheet music over so that we couldn't read the sheet music. And he said, I'm gonna play this melody, y'all just pick it up. We didn't even know all our major scales at the time. And he just started playing this melody. And then eventually, like after 2 weeks after we learned the melody, he said, oh yeah, that's Buddy Bolden's Blues.
All right.
And that was actually the second song we played. I've never seen sheet music for that. I've never heard it recorded, I actually learned it once again from Alvin Batiste, and it just stuck with me ever since.
Isn't that something?
As well as the man.
At a very young age.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I know that in the Buddy Bolden movie, you played the character Frank Lewis.
Yes.
And
yes.
Can you share a little bit about some insight on Frank Lewis? We know he's a sideman for Buddy Bolden. So
Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about Frank Lewis's character?
Yeah, yeah. Frank Lewis. Frank Lewis was cocky. Frank Lewis was arrogant, but Frank Lewis was thorough. And you're gonna see in the movie that of the two clarinetists in Buddy's band, Frank is the stronger of the two, but he also knows it. And also, you know, when Dan, the director, Dan Pritzker, was introducing me to this character and giving me background and backdrop information, he gave me a synopsis of the character. And I just told you about my family's background.
Right.
And the synopsis of Frank Lewis basically read like, Frank Lewis was born into a musical family from New Orleans. His grandfather had 11 children, and they all played music. He learned how to play from the elders in his community. I mean, I was just reading it.
So it sounded like you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I was reading it, and Dan was standing next to me as I was reading it, and I looked at him kind of side-eyed, and I was like, this kind of sounds familiar. And he was like, yeah, go figure.
So Dan had a little background information.
Yeah,
on you
Dan
too?
did. Now, I don't think I'm the cocky, arrogant
Oh, no,
one.
not you.
I try to be a little more warm and personable and
There we go.
gregarious.
There we
Yeah.
go. We'll leave that for the trumpet players.
Yes, I like the way you think.
All right. Well, I know that initially when you got involved, you thought it was going to be like a 4-month experience, and it turned into a lot longer than 4 months. So can you kind of share with us your experience? You transcribe that a little bit for us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the film actually started with a submersive, intensive workshop, so to speak. So it was me and the rest of the Bolden band. It was a 7-piece band, and we were in New Orleans, and we went to a rehearsal every day for about 4-6 weeks, and that intensive was for the actors to assimilate into the New Orleans musician culture.
Right.
And then from there we went after that 6-week period, then we went to Atlanta, I believe, first. And then we went back and forth between Atlanta, Wilmington, North Carolina, and New Orleans filming. And it started out, once again, as 4 weeks. But as we were in it and as we were going through it, and then we would do certain scenes, and I could just see like the twinkle in Dan's eye. And like when we would do certain scenes, then he would be like, well, wait, if we do this, or if we mention this person, or if we talk about this event, we have to talk about this person or this event, or you know what I'm saying? Right. And then, because once again, telling this New Orleans musical story, you can't just make it a drop in a bucket. You have to give the whole context.
So the story was created like jazz.
Exactly.
Beautiful way to tell the story.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the actors had to prepare for the role of being musicians, but what did you have to do to prepare to be in this role? Had you done any acting before, or?
The only acting I did up to this point was playing myself as a, just, as a musician in a band. This is New Orleans, so we had a lot of Hollywood movies come down here, so it was a lot of opportunities to just be in a band, be yourself in NCIS, or whatever we're talking about, Right. So that was the extent of my acting. In terms of preparing, I did not formally prepare because I wasn't an actor. And to be honest with you, I prepared as if it was a gig, like a musical gig, you know what I'm saying? So when we were going to these workshop intensives every day it was 2 musicians and the rest were actors in the band. The actors were having, they were having coaching sessions and these various things. And I was sitting down in the corner and I was learning the actual music that we were acting to. Right. Like I was just sitting down practicing.
Yep.
That's what I did. So that's how I prepared for the role. And actually it's kind of funny because when we actually started filming and we're on the set And you know, the actors are from everywhere, but actors are very good with dialect and accents and all.
Right.
And I remember all of the actors on the set, they turned their true accent off, and then they turned on this southern drawl accent. And so I was just listening to that, picking that up, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not an actor, but I'm assimilating into acting, and so I need to pick up some of these things. So then I started showing up to the set, and I started, you know, trying to talk more like this, and you know, and things like that. And I remember Cedarius Blaine, who's the trombonist in the film, in the Bolden band.
Right.
He walks up to me one day. I call him my union rep. You know, he's like a real staunch actor, Tisch educated actor. He walks up to me one day and he grabs me by the shoulder, you know, like with his, he's like a big 6'7" dude. He grabs me by the shoulder and he turns around. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, bro, what the hell are you doing? And then I said, well, I'm acting. This is what we do. We act, right? He said, no, man, you got it all wrong. We're trying to be you.
Okay.
We're trying to act like you. We're trying to pick up your isms. Don't do what we do. We're not the New Orleans musician. We're not from New Orleans. You're the one setting the pace and the tone. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Right. They were there to learn from you.
Kinda. Yeah.
I want to hear about the audition too. How did that go for you when you went to audition?
Okay, so this is a great story. So I did the audition. It was about 5 of us who auditioned in total. They had us audition as a group, you know, like a band, so to speak. And so during this audition, it was me and another New Orleans musician, and then it was who I grew up with, and then it was 3 actors from the region or from wherever they were in America. And so we're standing outside of the audition room in this downtown hotel, and the casting agents or whomever they were, they come up and they hand each person the sheet. The sheet that they handed me, it says something like, it just basically gave you a small character backdrop. Yours said, you're Frank Lewis, you're a New Orleans clarinetist. And then under it, it listed maybe 10 points, and everyone had the same 10 points. And it said, you played a gig last night at the Funky Butt. For anybody who's from New Orleans, you've heard of the Funky Butt. It said, you played a gig last night at the Funky Butt, and then it listed 10 bullets, and it said, and discuss these bullets, and the bullets read like, none of the drinks were cold, nobody was dancing, we didn't make any money, and it just the kind of things that musicians normally talk about. So I'm looking at my sheet, you know, my coworker, my friend, he's looking at his sheet. We look at each other, we like, well, I guess this is an audition. All right. We never did this before. This just seems like normal life. So we get into the room. Dan is in the room, and he's incognito in the back, and he yells action. And then me and my fellow musician, we just went in. I looked at him, and I said, man, you the drummer. Saying you the drummer, you can't even swing from a chandelier. He looked at me. He said, man, you the clarinetist. Blow a horn, you can't even blow your nose. And then we just went, and we talked for like 5 or 10 minutes. And the actors didn't say anything.
Right.
They looked like a deer caught in headlights. And it was like, what are these words? What is this vocabulary that they're using? And me and Joe, man, next thing you know, I'm talking about his mama.
Oh, no.
He talking about my old lady. I mean, we just going in, but you know, we're playing the part, playing the role, and this could have went on all day.
Yourself.
Yeah. And I didn't know who Dan was at the moment, but he was sitting in the corner incognito, and we're just going back and forth, me and the fellow musician, and then Dan just got aroused. He was in the corner, like, yeah,
This is what I want.
yeah. Talk about who wasn't playing the changes. We're like, all right, let's do this.
Okay.
And so the audition went perfect. You know, walked out, didn't think nothing of it. I didn't even think I acted.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Hey, if this is acting, I could do this all day.
Being yourself.
Exactly.
Can you think of any one key moment when you were on the set that was just like something really special? You felt really special from one particular thing.
Yeah. The one of the most special moments to me was actually the first day on the movie set. Because up until that point, I had spent weeks in an intensive preparing for the role, and then when we first got to Atlanta, or maybe we went to Wilmington first, I can't remember, but whatever city we went to first, then we went to the production office. And we're doing all these preparations at the production office, and then you go to the wardrobe office and the costume, and you go to all of these various departments even before you go to the movie set. I'm not just talking about for an hour. Like, you got to go to like wardrobe like 3 days, maybe a week, and then the next week is like makeup, and then you got to do camera tests and all these kind of things. And so I was just so exhausted by the whole process. I'm like, if this is making a movie, it's like 3 months. I don't, what's going on? If I meet one more person without a camera, what's the point? And then finally we arrive on set on the first day. I never forget it. It was, I think, Grant Park in Atlanta. And I didn't know what to expect. And then we get there, and then I see like cameras, and I see like directors and producers and gaffers and lights and booms, and I just see so many layers and so many levels to this. And I'm like, wow. It makes sense. This is really over 300 people working in tandem, looks like. Yeah, it was such a beautiful thing. And to top it off, it really hit me when Dan yelled action for the first time on set. Mm-hmm. And when he yelled action on set, it was almost as if we count the song off on the bandstand. So all of the preparation we did were kind of like rehearsals. People were kind of like scrimmaging, and they were half going. And I'm not used to that world. I wasn't used to that world. So I was going all in every rehearsal, you know what I'm saying? But they were pacing themselves, didn't want to wear themselves out. But once we got on the movie set and they called action, everybody was like lit extra 100,000%. And I said, oh shit, I got to get my game face on. Let's do this.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know, did you get any insight about Bolden's life from your participation in being in this movie? Did you walk away with any special?
Well, first off, a lot is not known about Buddy Bolden's life. Very few things are known. We know that he was born, he played trumpet in the streets of New Orleans, and he was deemed insane, and he was sent to an insane asylum where he died. Pretty much everything in the middle is a myth. Or it has been exaggerated. We're not certain. There's no one here to corroborate it. So I didn't necessarily learn anything new as this was Dan's interpretation of Buddy Bolden's life. And also the reason I didn't learn anything new was because I grew up introduced to Buddy Bolden. And I also think that is the 100% reason why Dan had me there. Because I was the person on the movie set, you know, and my coworkers would tell you, I was the person on the movie set standing there like this.
Just in awe.
I was in awe because to me, I was looking at like a childhood superhero come to life. This is Buddy Bolden. I mean, are you serious? To the people of New Orleans, our king has finally got a crown.
Right.
You know, so I was just on cloud nine, and, you know, I was just fortunate that I grew up hearing these stories of Buddy Bolden. And so, you know, me and Dan were on set swapping stories about Buddy Bolden. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it sounds like it was an incredible experience for you.
It really was.
And I just want to know, how do you feel like you changed as a musician from this experience of being in this movie?
Ooh, immensely. And that is a multifaceted answer. First off, being a musician versus being a professional are two different things. And being on this movie set has helped me see that that the reason certain musicians transcend to the level where they are is because of their level of professionalism and their level of work ethic. This movie I truly saw it every day. I saw the most dedicated people show up on 4 hours of sleep. How do I know they had 4 hours of sleep? Because we just left them on the set. Yeah. You know, well, as an actor, you get a little more time
Yeah.
than like the crew. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
oh man, the crew, those cats would like turn this around in like 3 or 4 hours. But I'm talking about the level of professionalism on 3 hours of sleep, doing this for however many days straight under, I mean, time constraints and physical constraints and all kind of things. It was just mind-boggling that these people were so professional. That was a case study to me.
All right. Well, I think it was an incredible experience for you. I think that if you haven't seen the movie, you're going to get a real treat. And I want to thank you for just sharing your experiences with the listening audience. And it was a great movie. I loved it.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I loved it too, and I love being a part of it.
I'm so happy you were.
I hope you guys enjoy.
All right. Take care.